I've got God on my desktop here, so I'm going to God on my desktop. I'm just going to conjure up God engine. Solo. I've renamed. I have House 1, and I've renamed it House Test. You only have 8 letters in your name and the name of the org. 8 letters maximum. With numbers, 8, numbers and letters. Gorby's House and Tree, Student Builder Kit number 1, copyright 2017. Now, that tells you at least what you're at here. And we're going to be moving along. There we are. Now we're in the org. We can move around now. Now you'll see what's ahead of us here. Well, we have parts to a house. We have an exploded house, they call it. It's an exploded diagram. It's a 3-dimensional diagram, but it is an exploded diagram nevertheless. And here we have a companion island. We have a bridge over here and a companion island. Now, what I'm going to do, I'll be talking through all this. I'm going to show you House and Tree number 1 is the title of this thing. I'm going to, how I get there is I hit my Alt and my E button. Bam, like this. Before I do anything else, I hit my F3 to take my compass off. Who the hell needs a compass when you're doing this stuff? Okay, now, House and Tree, and what comes up is the general screen over here. It says House Test, 128's the grid. So you need to worry about House Test grid, and then here it says, here it says General, that it has the title up here. My arrow keys are real handy. My right hand goes to my keyboard, and I can left or right mouse. I don't up and down. This does this other stuff. This previous and next, like this. So here's what happens. I can left or right mouse. Arrow, and I'm going to left. I prefer to left. So I'm going to left arrow once. That gets me to view screen here, which I don't need to deal with. It just has to do with the view that I decide to look at from my character. And you don't define that. Let me do all that stuff. Don't change those. Here, the next level, the next left in the arrow move is the objects of the carousel. It's the object screen. So I'm rotating around like this. First from this general screen here, which is nothing's active in this at all. It just has information in here. It's very basic information like what's my background sound, what's my active view, what's my back angle view, what's my back texture, my back effect, my palette, my screen texture, the title, the top section, bottom section, room height, standard room height, 128, standard room separate, there's 0, level offset 0. So all these little things here, that goes in that, that's me to set. You don't touch this. You don't even, unless you want to touch the palette, you can change the title. You can say, for instance, Frank's House and Tree, or something like that, number 1. Do differentiate. There's going to be at least 8 of these house and trees. All right. You can create more, by the way, by just going into your access system, your computer access system, and delving in and just going into the file and duplicating that map. It's easy enough to do. And we'll show how to do that when we get into the workshop. Here is our general screen. Now we're going to rotate this carousel. Imagine a carousel like this. And we now have this image, this facet here. Now we're going to turn it like this to the left. And when we turn it to the left, so when we turn it, we see the next screen we see up is our view screen. We don't mess with that. Again left. Now it's objects. And the first object we ever see is the object 0. It's always player. It's always the old play, it's always player. There can't be a non-zero, and there can't be a non-player. There must be a player, it must be object 0. Everything else is all extra, but from that point, you have to have that. Now, If I went left or right, I would go off my object. But if I go up or down, I'll change which object I'm looking at. If I go down, here's object 0. Object 1 is the down arrow. 2 is the down arrow again. 3, 4, 5. And each one changes what I'm looking at there. And I have named these. I've ID'd these. I can type this in. That's the player. Here's PSX4. Here's play turn 1. PST9 street, which happens to be an OVC shade. That happens to define what the street will look like. So, for instance, it's called street. So what I can do here is Alt F6. This is very important to know this. Street, because it'll make a big difference what you do. I can put the color on, I have it on, and I can actually change the mood of this thing. Nighttime. And here I can make it so that it's sunset. Or I can create darkness there. Like this. So now it's kind of an afternoon or evening or Vespers type scene, right? So there's so many wonderful things you can do. Let's put our there we go. Put our lights back on like that. You see you can change that. Now, this texture is called Cement 11. It's a real handy texture. I use it to build with all the time. This is just one of our mini F-star carpets. A variety of shades. I colored this chair with the same technique I just used there. I did it with the chair. The chair is not normally this color at all. These torches here have smoke rising from them, and we're going to actually alter the smoke that rises from them to make it look different. We'll make it fatter and thinner and puffier and swirlier and so forth. We'll do all that later. Not now. There's a lot to learn here. This is an ABD. It's a book. It's an object. It goes onto this table. The table is very simple to construct, but you have to know the technique. Once you do, it's very easy. This book and this top are essentially the same, except this is an object and this is a box. So, well, what's the difference between them? Depends on lots and lots of things. This is made of a box right here, and all it is just textures, and those textures convey that this is some sort of solid object. These are right here, these things here, these guys, those are glass panes, and they're single glass panes. I'll show you how to make a single glass pane. That's a new technique. And then in here we have parts, various parts. These parts here, and then these parts down there. These guys down here, these guys up here, and these guys here. This, and this also. That forms the house. Let me show you on the map how this works. Oh, I should show you what I've done. Now on objects, I'm going to go from object, I'm going to use my left arrow. I could use my right, but I'm going to use my left arrow, and I'm going to go to this next screen over here in the carousel called walls. And this is wall 0. That's wall 1, wall 2, and it highlights the walls as I See that? It highlights the walls here, and then down in here it highlights the little guys down there. I can use my Z to zoom in and my C to center, and then I can see that like that. So I can light these up like this, or I can click on them, provided I'm on the right grid. Now here's where the grid changed, and now I can click on this because it's in a lower grid than the other thing. Alright, let's go here and look at this. That stuff about grids and all of that's going to be very clear later on. I'm going to move this little guy out of the table, and I'm going to move him out of our way right now because I want to show you this really clearly. I can't make this any larger, unfortunately, so you'll have to just see this as best you can. I'm going to go, I'm now here, this is my walls, right? I'm going to go left arrow one more time on the carousel to domains or regions. It's called a domain or a region. They're numbered, num 17, num 13, num 14, and so forth. And when I click on these up and down arrows, these things will light up. That's num 1 right there. So that's the one you start with, I guess. So here, we're going to, that is, by the way, F star 16. I identify that. Num 1 down here, it's an R box, so I can tell what's going on. There's a no name below it, because it's resting directly on something. We don't want to have a double texture, because they will interfere with each other, so we want to take the texture off one or the other. I'm not going to take the texture clearly off the floor to handle a box, so I take the texture off the underneath of the box. That's why it's no name down here, F star 16 up here. It's only a height of 2, just 2. It just doesn't need to be very far up. And the walls are no name on this one, although, oh, threshold is the word I was looking for. On the threshold, it's going to be different. I'm going to have to actually name one of these walls, the one that shows when you come in. I'll explain all that when we get there. In the meantime, I've now done this right arrow, left arrow. I'm on domains. Now, what is a domain? A domain is actually a hole that you cut into the void if it's a straight or pure domain, which is properly called a region. Domains, it can be regions or boxes. Now, in this case, it happens to be a box, not a region. The region is containing it. It's here. It's big. And it's a hole that is made at minus 256 with gravel 01 at the base of it. And way up at the top at 2048 is the sky. How do we get that sky here? Let me take a moment of your time to explain how the sky is achieved. Once again, Alt-E, this becomes second nature. You kick up your map, and you can still see what's going on here. You can't move in there, but you can see what's happening. Now here, I'm going to go to Objects, which is right arrow, to get from where I was. I'm going to Alt-F. I'm going to look for something. You can't do this yet. This is not for you, but just to give you an idea of how this works. So I'm going to look for Heavens, which is my skybox. It's on an effect parameter of 1. For those who are advanced, you will like to know that. This is SB4. Let's change it to SB5. SB5. Very different. See? Can you see the difference? SF0. Whoa, look at that, huh? You like this? It's a tropical island just off of Manhattan. How How do you find these things? Well, that's really the fun. A lot of this stuff is, look at that. Wow, huh? Isn't that fascinating? Now we're going to go back to SB4. There we are. Now that you've seen how to do that, we'll explore that with in great depth, because you're going to have a whole class of nothing but skyboxes, how to work with them. Meantime, what we're going to do is going to start assembling these parts. So the very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try to get in a position here where I can show you how this works. Okay. I'm going to start with this thing here. That's my floor. This is my threshold here. Let me write that down because carpet and threshold. All right. So the carpet and threshold are separate. Why are they separate? Because you can't make a shape like this and have it work. It has to be a square. Then you can do things with it. It's a box. Now, as I said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back, scoot it up this way here. So watch. I'm going to go over, left arrow, there's domain. I should show you, there's paths, there's one more arrow. You don't mess with paths. That's when we do things like robots. We were walking around in here and stuff. That's us to do that. Points you don't touch, you don't mess with unless you're doing very exquisitely small work, which is way, way later on. Mesh, you're going to be dealing with in about, maybe 10, 15 lessons. You'll be starting to create some mesh, which is these lumpy parts of ground and mountains and all kinds of stuff, like you do in Second Life. You basically scoop the stuff out and make mountains and things. And we're back to the general screen again. So, general screen is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're back to the general screen. So there's a total of 8 in the carousel, 8 facets. All right, let's go here. I'm going to use my left arrow rather rapidly, because this is, I'm very practiced at that. 2 domains. I have reset. I'm going to put it back to 128. I'm going to now reset my grid, and I'll show you what the grid looks like. You see this on and off right there? There's these dots that come up. That's the grid. Right now it's at 128. I'm going to reset that grid to 32 base. There. So it's much tinier pieces, and when I get in here like that, you can see every little detail of these dots in here. I prefer not to work with it, so I hit my G button to turn them on, my G button to turn them off. That's the toggle. G on, that's the graph on, graph off. I'm going to mouse over. I'm going to just take my mouse, and I'm going to glide my mouse over these things. And you see they sort of light up when I go over them in a certain way. There's a sweet spot, and there's a not so sweet spot. You have to find the sweet spot of these things. And then you're going to right click down, and it gives you control of it. And you can move this around. You move your mouse and you can move this around, see? So I'm going to put this, doesn't matter, you can be sloppy and careless, and but eventually get there. So this is num 2, it says, right? So that's the right one. I'm going to Alt S, that saves it, Enter, and flip the Alt E backlight. You see that guy move? Did you see him move? You're going to see even more with the next one. The next one is number 3. You see it says num 3 here, but I already know the routine. It's going to be on the right side. It's my right wall that goes in. So the right wall, I do the same thing. I light it up here. It lights up. I grab it with my right mouse, and I shove it against this like that, so that it is flush with the bottom. You see that? the bottom of this is flush with the bottom of that. Now I can look at this better by hitting my C button that centers this, or I can decide that's the center of where I want to be, and I right click, not on anything, don't make anything, don't land on anything, but in a space you can make this thing move by doing that. So this is a way you can look at the map, or you can put the map back with the X so it's further away. I hope you can see that way. I'm going to do it this way so you can see better, I hope. Now, that's my number 3, my num 3. My num 4 is over here on the other side. So I go over here, I light it up, grab it with my right mouse button, and I drag it 1, 2, over like this. So it is lined up like that. See that? Isn't that something? Now this over here, these little guys, I gotta find num 5. That's over here. Num 5 is all the way on the right hand side, so it goes in next. Num 6 is over here on the other side, and it gets dragged down and in here. This is number 7, num 7, and num 8. You just drag them straight down. Now, if they happen to go to the side like this, you just put them back where they were and down. And it's about equal spacing is what you want here. See that? It's about equal spacing. It doesn't matter. But if it does matter, and you do care, if you get it over here, it's a mistake, what will happen is, when you bring this down, there'll be a big gap between these things. So then you would have been right to be there, see? So this is a way of testing to see, to make sure that that is right, and that's right, and that's right. See? They fit in those slots. So this, so far, we have this. Let's take a look and see what we've built so far. There it is. We put these walls in, and we put these little pillars in here, these posts in here. Now, we need to put in these guys here, these lower boxes. I don't know if you can see that. These lower boxes down here need to go here and here. We're going to put this one in first, then this one in next. Always this one first and this one next. Then we will address the higher one, the upper guys. Now, I'm not even at this point showing you how this works or why it works or any of that. So the next step is num 10, num 11, num 16. So num 10 is over here, and that would be this one. And it's going to go in now, and I'm going to show you how that looks. Bang! There it goes. You see it zip over there? All right. Let's see this. This one here is going to move over here down. So I grab it here, and I pull it down, straight down, click, 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 and it moves over there. It leaves these little marks over here until I refresh. That's okay. Let's go ahead and refresh. You're going to have to learn to do it anyway. So Alt-S, Enter, Alt-L, Enter, Alt-E. That's the move. And it recycles and reloads, and there you are. Now, everything's clean. You can see where it's all clean and working for you. See these things here, the graphics, the textures are on them and everything. So now what we've done is this. I'll just review. We pulled this guy up first. That's the back. Then we pulled this guy in, this side, and this side in. Then we pulled in. A pillar here, a pillar here, a pillar here, and a pillar here. Then we filled these pillars with these two boxes here. Now we're at the point where we're going to put some boxes up here, and because they're up high, the textures on these are at the top. The textures on these are going to be at the bottom, but not the top, because we're not looking at it from the top. So, pardon me. So here we have these pre-made. And there they are. This, and this. There's 3. Manny, Mo, and Jack. First we're going to put in this Manny, right here. So that is going to be, and you get to the point where you understand this and learn it and see it and so on. So we're looking for, let's see, we just put in 11. So we're looking for 12, right? So, there it is, num 12. If you lock on this and you click on there, it'll say num 12. You got it. So that generally is the opposite of the side, so you think it should be over here, but it isn't, because you're looking at it the reverse way. So you'll pull this down, straight down into there, and lock and leave it in this little hole in there. Don't leave it outside the hole, and it will come in here. I'm going to now take this, and you see it left a little bit of a mark there, which will be, when we refresh, that'll be gone. This will leave a mark right here. This texture will remain, but this box will move over here. So we're going to move this box over to here, like this. Going to drag it over, lock onto num 13, which is the very next one to go, and like this. You do have to kind of know where these are, because the number of the object doesn't correspond to the number that the object goes in. The next one, this middle one here, is going to go in right across here where the doorway is. So let's go ahead and drag in num 9. We missed num 9, didn't we? Oh my. There's num 9. Okay. Now we have nums 14 and 15 and 16. So 14 gets pulled straight down in, and 15 gets pulled straight down in. Those are a little tricky, and we'll cover those during the workshop a little bit better, but that goes in halfway. It's a weird way that it has to go in. And then we're going to put our threshold, number 16, put our threshold in. So there goes our threshold. Then we're going to put our roof on, which is a pretty advanced state, like that. And we're going to put in a table here. It's going to go whole hog. So I'm going to show you this. I don't want to hang you up too much with this stuff. So here we have a torch. It's going to go there. Another torch is going to go there. And this is just practice, practice, practice to get this point. Here's an ABD. It'll go on there. Here's a lamp. Goes over here. And here's a seat. Goes right over there. Now, we're going to reboot, or not reboot, should be reload, and there's the completed house. It's all finished for you, ready to go. There's all the stuff inside there, and there's the torches on the front and so forth. See that? And like I said, you can change the way the smoke works on the torches. Oh, I won't do that now, so I won't take the time for that. But you can also change the textures of this, the size of it, so but that's the basic. Once you've got to the point where you can assemble these things, now we're ready to tackle the next step, which is to make a block. That's the next video.